Today we are going to talk about unit conversion. So, the relationship between commonly used customary and metric units are shown on the conversion sheet. So everyone should have this sheet. So on the left side here, customary units, that's what we use here in the US. But basically everyone else, almost everyone else in the world uses metric units. So this is within the customary units, this is within the metrics unit. And then on the bottom here are some common things that you might convert between customary and metric, okay? And then on the back, it kind of gives some examples of what might be measured by those certain units. So a millimeter, okay, the millimeter, the tip of a lead pencil, versus a kilometer might be the length of city blocks, okay? So a unit ratio is one in which the denominator is 1 unit. So using that conversion sheet, let's fill in the correct unit ratio. So inches and feet, that's something we use here in the US. If I find inches and feet, okay, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So inches is on top, so 12 inches is equal to 1 foot. Ounces and pounds, again, that's something we use here in the US. If I find ounces and pounds, that's looking over here at the weight. We've got pounds and ounces. 1 pound is 16 ounces. So 16 ounces is 1 pound. And centimeters and meters, that's the metric system. If we look here, I see meters and centimeters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. Okay? So steps to converting between units. Okay, we're going to set up our blank proportion. We're going to identify the units. That's what we've been doing all unit long, labeling those top rows and bottom rows with those units, using our conversion sheet to find the conversion, filling in the left column, that ratio, with that unit ratio. So this left column of our proportion is going to be the conversion that we find on this chart. And then the second column is going to be the end result based off of the question, and then solve it like we've been doing, okay? So number 1, a football field is 100 yards. How many feet is that? So the first thing I'm looking for is what are the units that we're talking about here. I see yards and I see feet. So again, the order technically doesn't matter. I like to do it in the order it's given to in the problem. So yards and feet is what we're comparing. I'm going to use my conversion chart. Yards and feet, that's something we use here in the US. I see right here, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So that's our initial ratio. Now I'm going to go back to the problem and look at the number that was given to us, 100 yards. Is that yards or feet? It's yards, which means it goes on top. And that means we are solving for the feet. And if we look at our question, it says how many feet. That is what we are solving for. Now we've got our basic proportion. We're going to highlight the diagonals and then solve the proportion. So we're going to multiply 3 times 100, which equals 300. And we're going to divide by 1. So we get x equals 300. What were we solving for? X is on the bottom. We were solving for feet. Number 2, convert 34 quarts to gallons. So the 2 units we are comparing here, quarts and gallons. Okay, we're going to use our conversion chart. Gallons, that's liquid, that's capacity. If we look here, I see gallons and quarts. 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So quarts is on top, gallons is on the bottom. Now I'm looking at the problem here. The number that is given to us, 34, is talking about the quarts. So that's going to go on the top. That means we are solving for gallons, and if we look at that, we're converting it to gallons. I'm going to highlight my diagonals. And we're going to multiply. 1 times 34 equals 34 divided by 4 equals 8.5. What were we solving for? We were solving for gallons. All right, heading over to the back here. Number 3. We are going to convert 40 inches to centimeters. So the two units we are comparing are inches and centimeters. Inches is customary, centimeters, you see meters, that's the metric system. So on my conversion chart, I'm going to look on the bottom where we're converting between customary and metric. So length, that's what inches measures. If we look here, we see 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So 1 inch is 2 54/100 centimeters. Now I'm going to look at the number that is given to us. The number that is given to us here is 40, which is talking about the inches, and that means that we are solving for the centimeters. And if we look at the problem here, we are converting to centimeters. Now I'm going to multiply based off of our proportion. So I'm going to highlight my diagonals. We're doing 2.54 times 40, which equals 101.6 centimeters. We are going to divide by 1, and that gives us 101.6 centimeters, since we were solving for centimeters. Number 4, convert 5,000 meters to kilometers. So, what we're going to do here is look at our two units. We've got meters and we've got kilometers, okay? Those are part of the metric system. Again, you see meters, that means metric here. This is length. So we look, meters and kilometers, we see right here. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. We're going to look at the number that was given to us. 5,000 meters, so that's going to go on top. We are solving for kilometers. We're converting it to kilometers. Going to highlight. And we're going to multiply here. So we've got 1 times 5,000, which equals 5,000. And we're going to divide by 1,000, and we get 5. What were we solving for? We were solving for kilometers. Number 5, convert 10,560 feet to miles. So two units that we are comparing, feet and miles. We look at our chart. We use miles here in the US. That's customary. We've got 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So 5,280 feet is 1 mile. We look at the number that's given to us. That is talking about feet. So that's going to go on top here. We are solving for the miles. I'm going to highlight my diagonals. We're going to multiply 1 times 10,560, which equals 10,560. And we are going to divide by 5,280, and that gives us 2. What were we solving for? We were solving for miles. All right, one last thing we're going to look at before the you try is plugging into a table. You might have seen something like this on Alex. It's the same exact thing, it's just solving for multiple parts of the table, okay? So, just like we had with the ratio tables in lesson 7, we've got the same thing here. We're going to first identify what the original or initial ratio is. So we've got 3 to 1. We are comparing feet to yards for both of these, feet to yards. Okay, so we're going to fill out our initial ratio is 3 feet is equal to 1 yard, so 3 feet is equal to 1 yard here. Now we're going to look at one at a time. So when we're going to look at the next row, we've got 11 yards. So yards is on the bottom, which means we are solving for feet. That's why the feet is blank. Okay, I'm going to highlight my diagonal. And we're going to multiply. Here we're multiplying 3 times 11, which is 33. We are going to divide by 1, which equals 33. What were we solving for? We were solving for feet. So I'm going to plug that in over here. Same thing for the next one. Here we're given 72 feet. Feet is on top, which means we're solving for the yards, which is why it's blank there. We're going to highlight our diagonals. The two numbers we are multiplying is 1 and 72, which equals 72. We are dividing by 3. 72 divided by 3 is 24. We were solving for yards. So that means this right here is 24. So same thing that we were doing, just in a table format. Now go ahead and do the you try. Convert 88 ounces to pounds.